welcome to come on my BBC podcast.
It does surprise me that you wouldn't push for that. I know what you were talking to Oscar about yesterday, saying that, why do I have to do it? You went on to...
It's not why. Look,
but if he's making them comments, and if you went to him, all right, I'll come on the show tomorrow, I'm sure they'd have you on in a second. But why wouldn't you do that? Yeah.
If I phoned up and said, can I come on the show? Of course, they'd love me on the show. It would do big numbers. And I'm not saying they need me for big numbers, but obviously, I don't know if he's pay-per-view or what, but he would have a right touch if I went on.
You and Jordan probably is pay-per-view.
I think we should have a fight. Do you know what I mean? I think that would be... I reckon he can't fight at all. I can't fight. I don't know if he's paid. It would do big numbers. And I'm not saying they need me for big numbers, but obviously, I don't know if he's pay-per-view or what, but he would have a right touch if I went on.
You and Jordan probably is pay-per-view.
I think we should have a fight. Do you know what I mean? I think that would be...
100%.
I reckon he can't fight at all. I can't fight. I think it would be unbelievable. We'll do it for charity.
Love it.
Right? And then we'll have a debate after.
100%.
You've got to do it now, though, because obviously boxing...
fight?
Yeah, because otherwise it's no relevance in 6 months.
I mean, I've got a broken finger, but I'll still fight. I reckon we do it. No, but seriously, I have no problem going on. I will go on as well. I think he was very unreasonable. I think he would have undertook exactly the same process as I did.
What's he unreasonable about?
Because you have to understand the situation you're in. We are not...
What's good, family? It's your man the YB, back once again. Big shout out to my doggy, Joe Donny, for coming through and boosting the coin up 1,000,000% confirmed. So we just heard there from your mans, Eddie, Hearn, airing out Simon Jordan. Now, I'm going to be honest, you man who are loyal to the channel, who keep it a trilly, will know that I'm someone who believes in the squabbles. Yeah? If there's some goofy out there, I'm not into the whole waffling business. I believe people of similar level, if you've got a beef with someone, you should have the opportunity to run it with them, 100%. Now, Simon Jordan's come out and he's got a raging lob on for Eddie Hearn. Listen, you man know, I'm the one, I've been calling out what needs to be called out as well. My issue is with Simon Jordan is, guess what? Simon Jordan, Mr. Big Mouth, yeah, give it all this, 2 2s. He becomes attached to Fury vs Chisora, and all of a sudden he's talking about, Chisora's the next best guy in the division, and Chisora's better than he was when he fought him last time. All this kind of business. That don't work for me. Let's be consistent here. And I gotta be honest, I notice it many times, in as much as everyone, again, I'm the first one to have a go on Eddie Hearn. My problem is though, everyone takes turns on Eddie. But when it comes to Frank Warren or Tyson Fury, all of a sudden, everyone tiptoeing. Yeah? I don't rate that one. Particularly when you come across like you're an hard ass. Simon Jordan give it the puff out. You know what I'm saying? Right now, but it's a bit like Eubank. Eubank Jr. I did a video yesterday. Eubank Jr. has been getting this clout he's never got before. He's got a lot of, I don't know why he's got, but he's got a lot of respect and recognition that he never got on his own self. Again, I don't know why, but people have been saying, oh yeah, Eubank, somehow, some way, people have been looking at Eubank Jr. as some sort of hero. Yeah? And the same has to be said for Simon Jordan. A lot of the casual dons, a lot of the NPC low IQ dons have been sucking off Simon Jordan like his, you know what I'm saying, like he's slaying the evil Eddie. Now listen, you man know, I'm on Eddie's neck. I stay on that neck, 100%. But difference between me and Simon Jordan is, he ain't really about it like that. I don't have no friends in this game. I ain't picking sides. If there's something goofy, it's goofy, do you understand? But these mans, oh yeah, I'll expose Eddie, but I've got a whole, listen, Simon Jordan has just launched a whole podcast based around, Simon Jordan had a podcast at the Fury vs Chisora press conference. His whole thing was set up. His whole gig's there. That don't work for me. It's no good sucking Tyson Fury off because you're getting your paycheck there. Because really, mate, it's like that in itself is a contradiction. The fact that, wait a minute, you're slagging off Eddie Hearn. Oh, Eddie, I'm a businessman and you should have told the people. Equally, what Simon Jordan's showing by shilling for Tyson Fury now, Simon Jordan's doing exactly the same thing Eddie Hearn's doing, which is, when it's in your financial and otherwise interest, you'll pull the party line. All Eddie Hearn was doing, I don't blame Eddie Hearn in that sense. Eddie Hearn doing what he's supposed to do, pulling the party line. Yeah? It was never in his interest to come out and air out Conor Benn. Simon Jordan, guess what? Now Simon Jordan's part of the Fury versus Chisora bandwagon. It's not in his interest to go against it and say, listen, for example, if it was me, if I was asked to be part of the Fury vs Chisora outfit, and I guess you can say YB, it's easy for you to say because you ain't part of it, that's true, but still, take my word for it. If I was asked to be part of that show, I'd have to say, listen, Fury man, I respect the call, I respect the offer. Let me know if you want me to do Fury versus Usyk. Let me know if you want to do Fury versus Joyce. Let me know if you want me to do any proper critical one. But I can't get behind this. This is whack. Because it is whack. I've told you, man, before. I believe top level world championship boxers should only be able to fight. Yeah? I believe being a champion in itself, that puts you in a league where you can only fight top fives. That's how it works. It's a bit like the Premier. Imagine being a Premiership football team and fighting Division 3 or whatever it is. Sorry, and playing football with Division 3. It don't work, does it? But yet in boxing, you can have the lineal best thing since sliced bread. And arguably, people make a fair claim, and I agree to some extent. Tyson Fury, based on his attributes, he may be the hardest fighter ever in history, if that makes sense. The hardest fighter to beat in history. He's 6'9", is a berm off. Yeah, he's got great recovery skills, etc., etc. 270-pound man. So there's an argument he may be not necessarily the best based on resume, but in terms of the ultimate fighter, there may be an argument he would have beat Ali in that sense, because Ali was 6'3". Going in there with a 6'9" berm off, at some point, it is just about the physiology of things. It's a bit like, imagine if you had, a 15-foot man who was 300 pound and wham. Unfortunately, when you're 15 foot, and you're wham, some next wham Anunnaki thing, what's Tyson Fury going to do with that? I don't care how skillful Tyson Fury is. I don't care how skillful Ali is. When you're 15 foot and 600 pounds and you're athletic, imagine some dons from Mars come down, Imagine some intergalactic Anunnaki dons come down, and they're like 17 foot and just wham. What are you going to do with that? I don't care how much skills you got. They'll pop you in the mouth and that's a wrap. Do you know what I'm saying? Generating too much talk. So the point is, I'm not even sure what the point was, but listen, Tyson Fury meant to be one of the best ones. There's an argument he may be the best of all time. How can the best of all time be fighting Chisora probably fits in where of all time? Chisora's probably top 500 of all time. How can the top one of all time be fighting the top 500? That don't work for me. And Simon Jordan knows it. We all know it. But because he's pulling a party line, because it's helping his pockets out, it's alright to drag Eddie. Now be consistent. Yeah? If you want to suck Tyson Fury off, let's suck everyone off. Simon Jordan should have come out and said, listen, I'd love to drag Eddie like the YB be dragging him, but end of the day, I'm in Tyson Fury's pocket right now, so I'm going to suck Eddie off to say, well, I'm sucking Tyson Fury off. That's how he should be moving. But instead, a lot of you low IQ NPC casual dons, everyone's in it, everyone's gassing up. It's a bit like Gareth A. Davis, another perfect example. Gareth A. Davis has all the smoke, on the internet. Guess what? You ain't heard. Gareth A. Davis was another one. Chisora's better than ever. Yeah, well, there's no other options, and Chisora's the next best guy. Chisora's the next best guy? What the fuck? You're having a giraffe. And I love the way, and Simon Jordan's done this as well. I love the way these individuals are carrying on. They've all got this particular quote. They all say, Fury, Joe Joyce already ruled himself out. They all keep repeating this. Fury wanted Joe Joyce, but he ruled himself out. Like, who here believes that? Who here believes that Tyson Fury was bang on it for Joyce, but it's because Joyce, they're using a convenient truth, which is that Joe Joyce, having fought in September, wouldn't be ready for December 3rd. They're using that convenient thing to build into their argument, he was going to smoke Joyce up, but, Joyce didn't want it. Stop lying. If Joyce had said, Fury would have been nowhere to be found. That's the bottom line. Anyone who believes that is a jackass. I've heard them all repeating it. Coogan, all the IFL goons, Fury wanted Joyce, but Joyce didn't want it. Stop capping. Your man couldn't even be patient with AJ. And I'm not saying, I don't know who, listen, end of the day, man, I don't know who was being a weirdo in the AJ and Fury thing. I don't know who it is. It could be AJ, it could be Fury. Bottom line is, what we know is Fury had all these deadlines for AJ, which is the big fight. Let's think logically here, A big, massive mammoth fight Is it going to be done quicker or slower than Bob the Builder, Derek Chisora? It's going to take longer. But yeah, Fury had all these deadlines for AJ, the fight where we know is going to be more complicated. And yet he's happy to fanny around for 2-3 weeks after the AJ deadlines are passed, making a bum fight with Chisora. Someone explain that logic to me, please. Why was Fury so patient for the Chisora fight but didn't have no time for the AJ fight? That don't work in my opinion. I was the one saying, wait there a minute, Fury. If you're going to end up fighting Chisora anyway, someone who you ain't going to need more than 6 weeks notice, bearing in mind you're in the gym preparing anyway, and really AJ and Chisora are similar fighters anyway. So like I said, if you're going to end up fighting a complete bum dosser anyway, now, I like Chisora, but let's be real here. If you're going to end up fighting someone who's washed anyway, what was the rush to force AJ out in that sense? Fury should have let AJ fall on his own sword. If I'm Tyson Fury and I really want the AJ fight, yeah, I'll be saying, listen, I really want this fight, and I think AJ going to shit himself. So rather than set deadlines, I'll let him fall on my own sword. And for example, Fury could have said, you know what, Team AJ, take as long as you want. Because if not, I'll fight Chisora on 6 weeks notice anyway. So it's a win-win for me. At which point, the time would have played out, and then obviously it would have been clear Team Hearn was ducking, Team AJ was ducking. Fury didn't do that. Oh, deadline. And that's why that's why I'm conflicted. And despite all these conflictions, yeah, and that's another thing, the whole TalkSport narrative was, oh, Team AJ have ducked. And I'm sorry people, yeah, whatever you say about AJ, from what I've seen, he does what he says, for the most part. I've never seen him say, you know what I'm saying? When have you seen AJ say you're going to do something and something goofy happens? And in fact, to the contrary, all these goons sucking Fury off here, the fact of the matter is, Fury and AJ had a contract already. It wasn't for, why A, B, C, D happened. Listen, the fact of the matter is, yeah, let's think about contract negotiations as a football game. So far, it's 1-0 to AJ. AJ had a signed contract, and for whatever reason, Fury pulled out. That gives AJ 1 credit. So really, Fury's 1-0 down. He should have been doing everything, based on the last blunder, he should have been doing everything to say, you know what, I dropped the ball last time for whatever reason. Let me make sure it's clearly not me this time. Let me put Team AJ in a position where, when they pull out, it's blatantly it's them. He didn't do that. And then he proceeded to give Chisora a bum fight no one wants all the time in the world. That don't work for me. And even on that basis, these TalkSport guys know that Fury pulled out last time in 2021 to fight AJ. And yet they're all dragging AJ and dragging this, dragging that. I can't deal with the narratives. Be consistent here. If we're dragging, let's drag. Yes, drag. Yeah, we'll drag Eddie Hearn for the Conor Benn situation. We'll drag AJ for something that's not even known. But then Fury, I mean, this is, for me, the biggest, yeah, Conor Benn juiced off his Nelly. Yeah, AJ may have ducked. I don't know what happened there. But guess what? I actually think Fury fighting Chisora is as big as a controversy as what Conor Benn was doing. At least Conor Benn getting juiced, bearing in mind he's going up 2 weight divisions, makes some sense. I can empathise with that. If Conor Benn is juiced off his Nelly, yeah, I get that. Wait there a minute. You're going in there with a dude 10, 15 pounds bigger than you, and you want a little piece of edge. I'm not knocking it. That makes sense. What don't make sense is the prima donna, best man in the world ever, fighting Chisora, a man he's beat twice already. And I keep hearing Fury fans say, you want to give his mate a payday. Listen, I don't give a fuck what you want to do. If you want to give your mate a payday, give your mate a payday. Don't do it. Don't involve the sport in that. And it's shocking that the governing bodies are the way they are. There should be no, Fury, listen. If you want to give your mate a payday, you can drop the belt and go do what you're doing. That's how it should have been. And Pat, you want it like his... that's another thing. Let's stop the cap here, yeah? Fury ain't someone who trying to do God's work in that sense. Everyone trying to pull this mirage. I wouldn't mind, but this Simon Jordan goofy, he's one of the key guys. And all the public have rallied around him like he's a shining light. But guess what? He ain't shining no light on the biggest travesty this year, Fury vs Chisora. I'm sorry, it's a travesty in itself. It's shocking. Shouldn't be allowed. Should be illegal. Not to mention, I mean, they all kicked up a fuss. Oh, it's so dangerous. It's so dangerous. A £147 man having some trace amounts of juice, like Gareth A. Davis. Gareth A. Davis bouncing off the walls about how dangerous it was for a little midget in Conor Benn to have some trace amounts of some substance going in there with a £160 man. I'm sorry, that don't sound dangerous to me. That sounds more like evening the playing cards. Chris Eubank Jr. said himself, if I went in there at 160, being my full self, it wouldn't be a fair fight. And I agree. We know weight divisions mean something. Never mind 2 weight divisions. So all these people hyping up Simon Jordan and Gareth A. Davis about how dangerous it is for Conor Benn, equally, you're about to put the most dangerous heavyweight in the world right now, Tyson Fury, in there with Chisora, who's more or less, let's be real here, people, we've seen Chisora in his last 3 fights. Particularly, the last time Chisora fought an actual athlete was against Joe Parker. And let's be real here, that Joe Parker rematch he was more or less a human punching bag. And it was only because Parker isn't a big puncher and isn't a big man himself. Chisora he was gassed after 3 rounds, and he was more or less a human punching bag who had to resort to hanging in the corner and kind of threatening a big overhand. That was his only defence. A Hail Mary defence. Which, by the way, a Hail Mary in the corner defence is not a real defence. You're about to put that guy, who was literally clinging on by a thread against Parker, someone we know who is, you know what I mean, Parker's leagues below Tyson Fury. Never mind the dimensions. Yeah, Chisora was fighting a man his own size. For all intents and purposes, Tyson Fury's got his own, is almost in his own weight division. You got Chisora going in there with a prime, most dangerous. Let's not forget, people. Yeah, Fury just bashed up Deontay Wilder, who is a prime, athletic bull in himself, and Fury bashed him up. And you're about to put a 38-year-old Chisora, who's been looking shot worn in that sense. Every fight Chisora has, he looks like he's on his last legs, isn't it? After about 3 rounds, he's gassed and he's sitting there, just, you know what I mean? It's what's the word? It's dangerous to watch. Chisora was, well, not hopeless, but Chisora after 3 rounds, you're just waiting for something to go wrong. He's gassed out of his mind, you know what I mean? In the corner, just threatening a big overhand. I'm sorry, that's not how the sport's supposed to be. Chisora should be fighting people like Pulev, his own age, and they're both old, and they're both slow, etc., etc. So again, all these virtue signalers grandstanding about how bad Conor Benn was, and yet, and mentioning how dangerous, I think, honestly, again, I believe Tyson Fury going in there with Chisora is multiples more dangerous than Conor Benn having some trace amounts of whatever and going in there against a 160-pound or 157-pound Eubank Jr. I'm sorry. I don't care. And anyone who tells you otherwise don't know what they're talking about. It's extremely dangerous what they're... I mean, let's not forget, yeah? Do you remember what happened in 2014? That was 8 years ago. Chisora was 8 years younger, 8 years fresher, 8 years less damage. And let's not forget as well, damage is exponentially cumulative. When you take damage at 30, that's one thing. When you take damage at 38, all that damage is compounded over the years. And it's not as if Chisora's been a Floyd Mayweather. Chisora's been in the thick of it, hands down, wang, getting wanged for God knows how many years. And you're putting a 38-year-old man in there with Tyson Fury. A big heavyweight. Who, by the way, as well, look at the damage. Tyson Fury in the 2014 fight, during the fight, was literally pleading with the referee. And this was back in 2014, when Tyson Fury was much more passive as a boxer. This was the Klitschko Fury. This was the Peter Fury. The one that was flicky jab and just jab. Look how much damage Chisora took. In the 10th round, before the fight got called off, in fact, probably from the 8th round, for the last few rounds of the fight, Tyson Fury was begging the referee to stop the fight. Because the amount of times Chisora's head, ding, 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 ding. Yeah? Fury was bludgeoning, and that's the most, I'm sorry, yeah, people get it twisted. People think one-punch KOs are the most dangerous. The most dangerous is when you're taking really, one-punch KOs are actually one of the safer ways of doing things. That's why you don't see or hear about so much damage in the UFC. They've got smaller gloves, and it clips you, and it's nice and quick. The real damage is when you take repeated blunt force trauma again and again and again and again. And that's what happened in the first Chisora fight. He got bludgeoned again and again and again. And that was a younger, faster dude. And, like I said, it was against a Fury who wasn't sitting down on his punches, etc., etc. Now, you got a Fury at the peak of his game, literally, red hot, punching hard. And you're putting a 38-year-old man, the one you've already seen, the one that you had to beg the referee to stop 8 years ago. The man's 8 years older, and you're 8 years better. What the fuck? And Simon Jordan and Gareth A. Davis want to sit here and drag Eddie Hearn. Nah, man, let's do the dragging. It's not good. Anyway, I've digressed and I've gone on a rant, but I think it's good quality content. Let's get to the original point here. Eddie Hearn, call out and air out this goofy Simon Jordan. I love this. Like I said at the start, I'm someone who believes that when people have disagrees, let's not get arsey. Let's not get Larry on a video. Yeah, that's another thing I don't rate about Simon Jordan. I get the feeling he's like and obviously Eddie Hearn, we all drag Eddie Hearn about being a private school boy, yeah? A private school Brentford cat. The difference is, number one, Eddie Hearn's offering the squabbles. Eddie Hearn offered to squabbles Leonard. Eddie Hearn offered to squabble up Leonard Ellaby. He ain't won it. Oops. Yeah, he also offered now to squabble up Simon Jordan. And like I said, Simon Jordan, he gives it all this snare on the radio. Let's see what he got to say now. Eddie Hearn won it, and I rate that. That's how it should be. If me and you got a dispute, we don't need to do all this waffling on the internet. Let's run it, 100%. Me and you run it right now, and I want to see it. I love this. I want to see Eddie Hearn go in there and give Simon Jordan the pause. That's how it should be. Simon Jordan needs some pause right now. I feel like people like Simon Jordan, they've gone through life and I don't know, he reminds me a little bit smug. Yeah? You know them smug ones. There's a few, especially in the upper classes. Smug upper class dons, yeah, they go through life without ever being involved in any squabbles, and it makes them smug because they never really appreciate how close they always are to getting got. Do you understand? They think life's all about being smug and being a smartass. Yeah. Now, once you've been in there, yeah, and some Donny has had their way with you, you then realise how fragile your existence really is. Because right now, Simon Jordan, he think he live in a big existence. Yeah, and his existence is a fragile one, 100%. And that's what Eddie Hearn be saying. And I want to see it. Listen, if Simon Jordan can go in there, yeah, and give Eddie Hearn the pause, then he'll give Eddie Hearn the pause. But that said, back in olden times, there used to be a principle of what they call it, combat or something. Yeah, trial by combat. That used to be a well identified or a well positioned way of doing things. Yeah, trial by combat. Me and you, let's run it 100%. All the cowboy dons, yeah, they'd do the whole thing where, what's that thing where they walk 10 steps and then turn around and get busy? 100%. It's well known. Yeah, cowboy cats would go to the pub, have some sort of beef, and it'll end up in I forgot what they call it now. There's some sort of institution, some sort of cowboy institution, yeah. And they take 10 steps and then turn around and get busy. So it's well known, it's well identified. In most cultures, some sort of physical combat was in there. I think that's needed. Yeah, society right now, there's no cost for the mouth. There's no cost. And I'm saying, oh, YB, but your mouth be going. My mouth doesn't be going. Who want it? Oops, 100%. Who want it? Who wants some? And no one wants some. That's the but 100%. Yeah, if any of these YouTube goofies want some hands, you man know I'll be more than happy to oblige. Give them all the pause they want. How much pause you want? 100%. How much pause any of you goofies want? Get plenty of pause from the YB, 100%. Yeah. So, like I said, Eddie Hearn has requested. What's the guy's name? Simon Jordan. You've been called out to combat, 100%. Yeah, trial by combat. Eddie Hearn wants him. Because Simon Jordan, he give it all this, and for me, it's the hypocrisy. Simon Jordan's hypocrisy must get his 100%. Yeah, Simon Jordan's hypocrisy must get the pause. Now, like I said, if Simon Jordan can go in there and lick up Eddie Hearn, then so be it. And I'll salute Simon Jordan and say, listen, man, fair play to you. You backed up what you was talking about, but the way the energy he comes with, it's not fair energy. I'm someone who's fair. I don't give it out or pick it all. You know what I mean? Oh, yeah, that's a weird one. Be consistent. Don't be doing all this. Oh, well, I work for him, so yeah, that's weird, goofy. Yeah, don't be doing them ones. And if you do them ones, don't be surprised. I'm sure, yeah, if Eddie Hearn saw Simon Jordan giving it out fairly, it'd be a lot more, you know what I'm saying? But no one likes to be picked on. No one likes for someone to keep doubling down on them. And then all the other pagan behaviour, everyone lets it slide. No, that don't work. Because Eddie Hearn, is he slimy? Absolutely. He ain't no more or less slimy than any other of these guys. But yeah, every time, everyone, Coogan for years, picks on Eddie Hearn, don't say nothing to Frank Warren, even though Eddie Hearn was the one paying his wages for years. Eddie Hearn paid Coogan $2,000 a month for years at the start. And instead of loyalty, you don't get nothing for it. And that's fine, but bottom line is, Simon, he want you bad. Now what? And I hope Eddie Hearn doubles down on this. Yeah? If I was Eddie Hearn right now, anytime someone mentions Simon Jordan, I'll say, Simon, when are we running it? Yeah? I wouldn't even respond. Yeah? I'll say, listen, I ain't trying to hear about what Simon got to say. If Simon got a problem, we can run it 100%. Yeah? Stop talking. I'm done with the talking with Simon. The only thing I want to do with Simon is give him some pause. 100%. I'll pour up. I'll squabble up Simon Jordan. That's what Eddie Hearn should be saying right now. Because what normally happens is, yeah, a lot of these guys, a lot of these smug guys, they give it all the yammer. And then when someone pulls up, all of a sudden, they realise how stupid they look. Because ultimately, words can only go so far. Words are trumped by physical, what's the word? Words are trumped by physical, essentially physical combat. Yeah, words can only do so much. It's like poker. Oh, I'm giving it the words. Yeah, my name's Simon Jordan, and I'm airing out Eddie Hearn. That only gets you so far. Yeah, because when Eddie Hearn comes with a raise, boom, I'm raising you. I'm raising your weak ass words to me, and you get into squabbles. That's where it starts and ends. Yeah, when someone raises your waffling to the squabbles, that's a wrap for you right now. You must reply to that. And that's why I hope Eddie Hearn, in every interview that Simon Jordan's mentioned, I'll be saying it. Because I've noticed this interview is a few days old. And guess what? I ain't heard no reply from Simon Jordan. And he will have seen it. Do you understand? And that's often how these smug, sneaky guys operate. He will have seen this and thought, oh shit, I don't want none of that. Yeah? And rather than go on his radio show, which is what he'd normally do, for example, yeah, let's say Eddie Hearn slipped up on something to do with Conor Benn. Do you think Simon Jordan would have missed it? No, he'd have made a fresh video airing it out. But yet, Eddie Hearn offers Simon Jordan out to squabble. I didn't see that one. Yeah, well, conveniently, Simon Jordan hasn't seen the one where Eddie Hearn raising his waffle. Yeah, I've raised your waffle, and I'm looking for the squabbles. What's good? Listen, Simon, you've been raised. Yeah, this waffling been raised. He want the hands, and that's why Eddie Hearn now needs to double down in every interview. Simon, just in case you missed the last 4 videos, I want you to know I want you bad. I've been thinking about you. Yeah, you're sweet to me. Yeah, I'm gonna punch up the private schoolboy within you. That's what Eddie Hearn should be saying right now, 100%. Don't let him off the hook if you want it. Now, maybe Eddie Hearn don't want it himself, but I think Eddie Hearn knows. Eddie Hearn ain't stupid. Eddie Hearn knows who he can pour up. Yeah? And that's to me, that's a smart man. Yeah, if you know you can get someone got, you get them got. Yeah? Throw the little charity bit in there. Yeah, 100%. Yeah, oh yeah, we're going to do it for charity. And run it. So Eddie Hearn right now needs to double down and keep doubling down until listen, if Simon Jordan comes out and says, Eddie, I don't want it, that's also, I respect that. I respect Simon Jordan knowing he ain't about it like that. Do you understand? But don't be smarmy. Don't think, ignoring it, that's weak. That's weak sauce. And that's often how these smug guys operate. Yeah? They won't come out and say, I'm shook, I don't want no smoke. Yeah? Really, Simon Jordan should be out here saying, listen, Eddie, I'm shook, I don't want no smoke, I just want to sit on the radio and waffle. That's what he should, ultimately, that's what he's saying. By pretending he hasn't heard about this. Like, for example, how many of you people think of all the people who know Simon Jordan. I mean, Simon Jordan responds to all of Eddie Hearn's other comments about him, but yet this for me, what's the most explosive comment Eddie Hearn has made in reference to Simon Jordan? I want to fight you for charity. That's the pinnacle. Like I said, Simon Jordan over the last week, he's been responding to all of Eddie Hearn's little quips. But yet the biggest one, ain't seen that one, get out of here, clown. So like I said, he should be coming out right now and being honest. Either number one, Eddie, boom, I raise your squabble, let's get it, here's the date. Or, listen Eddie, I'm shook, I don't want no smoke, I just want to sit on the radio and act hard. That's what he should be saying. He must do one of the two, and it's Eddie Hearn's job to enforce that. Yeah? And how Eddie Hearn can enforce that is by making it clear. I'll tweet Simon Jordan, and in every interview I'll be offering him out. And I'd say, listen, Simon, I'm not a bully. If you don't want to smoke, if you don't want me to punch you up, that's fine, but come out publicly and say you don't want it, and I'll back off. Yeah? So I'm not trying to victimise no one. It's 2022. I'm not looking to lose my Twitter account. I ain't trying to victimise no one. Yeah? Simon Jordan, if you're a protected group, let me know, and I'll back off. Yeah, 100%. Eddie Hearn must push forward with this one. Because imagine that, also from a fan's point of view, imagine that on pay-per-view. Yeah? Imagine that Hearn versus Simon Jordan. That'll be a banging build-up. Banging. We need that one, 100%. Anyway, smash the like button, subscribe, and your boy will be back 1,000,000%.